Hello, my name is Shiraz and welcome to my English and Math channel. Today we're going to have a look at William Shakespeare's sonnet number 116, that's 116, and let's have a look. We're going to spend a little bit of time on this poem because I think there are certain things that we need to focus more on. Okay, as usual, let's have a look at some of the pictures. In the first picture, you can see the perfect love. Okay, so there are two hearts and they are like soulmates. Okay, so if they are in love and it's perfect love, what happens is they get married. Okay, because they become soulmates. Okay, the next picture here is there's a tempest, a storm, and there's a ship in that storm. Okay, and in the same storm we have this lighthouse, and we can see that the lighthouse is not moving at all, and instead from here, on the top, it's kind of looking down upon the storm. All right. The next picture is of a compass, and we know what we use the compass for, to find the directions. Right. These two pictures here, you can see that there's a young girl and she's getting old with the passage of time, and similar stuff in this picture as well. And the last picture is probably the most complicated picture. You can see there's a time here, and this man here has a scythe in his hand. Okay, when we have a look at the poem, you will see that all these pictures were quite useful. All right. Okay, so as usual, there are all these terms which you should be familiar with. Let's have a look at the poem itself. As I said, this is a sonnet, and the Italian poet Petrarch was the one who started writing sonnets, and then this tradition came over to England, and William Shakespeare became a master of writing sonnets. So traditionally, a sonnet has 14 lines, as you can see here, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and it has a regular rhyme scheme which can vary, of course, from sonnet to sonnet. Let's have a look at the rhyme scheme for this sonnet. So it's minds, finds, love, remove. Okay, mark, bark, shaken, taken, cheeks, weeks, come, doom, and proved, loved. Okay, so we can see from here the rhyme scheme of this poem is A, B, A, B, C, D, C, D, E, F, E, F, and then G, G. So the last two lines are they form a couplet. Okay, the last two lines. Couplet is over here. All right. Okay. And then the next useful term is iambic pentameter. Okay, most of the sonnets are written in iambic pentameter, and a simple definition of iambic pentameter is da dum, da dum, da dum, da dum, da dum. So this is all you need to remember. Okay, so let's have a look at the first one here. Let me. So this is there are two words with two syllables, let me, and the first one is not stressed and the second syllable is stressed. So d, dum, d, dum, d, dum, d, dum, d, dum, d, dum, d, dum. Okay, so this is what the iambic pentameter is. Let's try to read the first line. Okay. Let me not to the marriage of true minds. Okay. Admit. So the first syllable is not stressed. The second one is stressed. Okay. Right. The next one is octave. Octave, like octopus. Okay. The number 8. The first 8 lines, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The first 8 lines form an octave, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The last 6 lines form a sestet. Okay. So after the octave, we have the 9th line, and this is where in a sonnet, in most of the sonnets, we have the volta or the turn. So this line is important because in this line there will be kind of a dramatic shift. Okay, so there will be a change in thought. Okay, and that is called volta. Okay, let's have a look at the poem now. Let me not. So the first line starts with a negative. Okay, so let me not. There's a negative here, and it looks like the poet is probably talking to someone, maybe his beloved, and it's like let me not, taking permission, okay, to the marriage of true minds, admit impediments. Okay, so the marriage here is obviously a metaphor for love, okay, of true minds. So true minds are the ones which do not change with the passage of time, so they are faithful. Okay, admit impediments. So impediments are something, that is something that delays something else, okay, from moving on. So this is what Shakespeare is saying here, that if there are true minds, there are two true minds, they are faithful to each other, so there should not be any restriction, there should not be any delay in their marriage. Love is not love. So there is another negative here. So very masterfully Shakespeare is trying to say what love is not. Okay, and then later on he will tell you what love actually is. Love is not love, which alters when it alteration finds. Okay, so if there are two people who are in love, and because of the change in circumstances, or maybe one person finds a more beautiful lover or something like that, and they fall for another one. Okay, so they change, there's a change in the mind or in heart of the lover. So that love is actually not true love at all, because this love is changing when it alteration finds. So whenever it is given an opportunity, it takes that opportunity. So that love is actually not love. Okay. Now in the first two lines, if you focus here, the let me not to the marriage of true minds admit impediments. It is very, very much interesting to see that there's enjambment here. So this sentence goes on to the next line. True minds admit impediments. And very cleverly, Shakespeare has separated impediments and marriage. So they're in two different lines, even though they are in the same sentence. Okay, so this is another kind of technique using enjambment to keep these two things separate. And the whole idea is also that there should not be any delays of in the marriage of true lovers. Okay. Right, which alters when alteration finds. You see, there is a lot of repetition here. Love and then love. The word alters and then alteration. Okay, and we'll see later on as well. There is a lot of repetition, which emphasizes Shakespeare's point of view. Okay, which alters when it alteration finds. Or, so one is alteration and the other one is or bends with the remover to remove. So bends, once again, is there's a a shift. There's a change with the remover to remove. So if the remover tries to move something, okay, so maybe when a lover is unfaithful, and then that lover becomes kind of more inclined to someone else, and if that happens, then it is not true love. Okay, or bends with the remover to remove. Once again, there is repetition of words, remover and remove. Oh no. So after telling that it's not love which alters, or bends, oh no, it's neither of these. What is it? It is an ever fixed mark. Okay, so there is a strong emphasis on ever fixed. Okay, it cannot be changed. It is something which is fixed forever and ever. Okay, so what love is an ever fixed mark. So here we have another metaphor for love, and mark here is ever fixed mark is a metaphor for the lighthouse. Okay, and that lighthouse looks on tempests and is never shaken. Okay, so if we go back to the pictures here, so this lighthouse here, okay, it looks down upon the tempest, and it is an ever fixed mark, and it does not move. It cannot be shaken. It has very firm roots. Okay, so this is what love is. Now before he said what love is not, and now there's a shift from what it is not to what it actually is. So it looks like Shakespeare's trying to define love in its most ideal form, and he gives its qualities as well. Okay, it is the star. So love is an ever fixed mark, and it is also the star. It is not any star, it is a special star. So there is another metaphor here. Okay, and this star is the one which is the guiding North Star. So if you are lost in the dark or on sea, the North Star can guide you. Okay, so you can navigate with the help of this star. And this is what love is. What love does is it guides you. Okay, so it is the star to every wandering bark. So bark is here for a ship. Okay, and wandering, when it is lost. So if there is a ship which is lost, the captain can navigate with the help of the North Star. Okay, so there are, a lot of beautiful images in this poem, I must say. So the imagery is quite strong here and very powerful. Whose words unknown. Okay, so now he's talking about this star, and also we know that star here stands for love. Okay, now at that time, in the Elizabethan time, they did not know what the stars were made of. Okay, so there's a reference here, whose worth unknown. So we don't know the worth of the star, although his height to be taken. Okay, so even though it was not possible for them to know what the stars were made of, but using the angle of elevation above the horizon, they could measure the height of the star. Okay, so because that angle could be measured, and then hence with that help, using some mathematical calculation, which I'm not aware of, the ship's latitude could also be measured. So that would tell the captain where the ship is, how far the ship is from the equator, okay, whether it's in the north or in the south. So, however, whichever way you try to define it, so love is valuable, nobody knows its worth. Okay, and I would say sky is the limit. Okay, so we've done 8 lines now. Let's move on to the 9th line, which is Volta. So here there's a shift in the tone, shift in the thought, like a dramatic shift. Love's not time's fool. So love is not a fool of who? Of time. So both love and time here are personified. And this fool here is a reference to the fool of the king, a gesture who used to be in the court to kind of keep things very lively and fun. Okay, so love is not time's fool, so it is not affected by the time at all. Okay, so love is not at the mercy of time. Okay, though, so we can see there is a shift here, though rosy lips and cheeks. So these are the symbols and images of youth and beauty. We know that beauty wouldn't last forever. Okay, so though rosy lips and cheeks, within his bending sickle's compass come. Okay, in short, we know that beauty, physical beauty and youth doesn't last long. So even then, love is not time's fool. All right, love is not at the mercy of time, because it doesn't kind of take into consideration the beauty, physical beauty or youth. It's kind of something beyond all those physical attributes. Okay, now let's try to understand this image here. With his bending sickle's compass come. Okay, if we go back to this picture here, so you can see that's this bending sickle. Okay, and there is the compass here as well. Okay, so bending sickle is a personification of death. Okay, so this could be the death of individual person, or the death of everything, or anything. So we know that the rosy lips and cheeks, they do come within the range of this bending sickle's compass. So compass is, if you see here, compass and come, there's alliteration here, and it's like like the sound of the clock, like tick tock, compass, come. So this is a reference. This shows the passing time. Okay, so the time is passing gradually but steadily, and with the passage of time, this youth, this beautiful, this physical beauty will fade away. Okay, and bending sickle is personification of death. Okay, his bending sickle's compass come. Love alters not. So once again, it's repetition here. Okay, so love alters not with his brief hours and weeks. So the time has brief hours and weeks, whereas love is an ever fixed mark. Okay, it goes on and on and on. Okay, whereas this time here, the time that we have is only temporary. It's only for brief hours and weeks. Okay, this can also be a reference to the very short lives that we have. But bears it out even to the edge of doom. So doom is, I think, is the only kind of a negative image in the whole poem here, and it's quite strong. But bears it out. So what love does is, love bears the time out. It sustains all the time. It endures faithfully, even to the edge of doom, until the day of judgment. Now, this could be the last day of our lives, or maybe the last day of this universe. Okay, so whichever it is, love endures until that time. It doesn't finish. Whereas the time that we have, it does finish, because it has brief hours and weeks. Okay, right. So after telling all the qualities or attributes of love, what love is not and what love is, and so on, in the last two lines, in the couplet, what he says is, if this be error. So whatever I have said over here, whatever I have told you about love, like my own theory about love, or my description, or my understanding of love, or universal fact, if this be error, if the whole thing that I've told you about love is wrong, and upon me proved, okay, if it is wrong, and if you can provide evidence that it was wrong, okay, so this is a very, very strong claim. If this be error, so he's trying to emphasize on the fact that whatever he has told us about love is actually true, and it's not false. But he's saying, to prove his case, he's saying that if this is all false and you can provide evidence, okay, I never writ. So it would be like that I never ever wrote about anything, about love or anything. So that means whatever, whichever poems and plays and whatever I've written, you can take all of these things back from me. So they will not be in my name. You can, burn them, or you can do whatever you like with them, but they wouldn't belong to me. So this is a very, very strong case, isn't it? If you imagine that if you were a writer and all your books were taken away from you, how would you feel? Okay. So not only that, he also says, nor no man ever loved. So if you can prove that I am wrong, so it would be like I never wrote about love, and also no man ever loved. Okay. I don't know why he doesn't talk about women. Maybe, men were more dominant in that society, which I think they were. So he says, nor no man ever loved, and that would also mean that no man or woman ever loved. So maybe people have loved, but they haven't really loved in the ideal sense, because ideal love looks like this. Okay. So this is a very beautiful, romantic and loving poem. And if you notice in this poem, there are a lot of monosyllabic words. What do we mean by that? So let is only one syllable, me one syllable, not one syllable, to, the, marriage, that's two syllable, okay, and so on. So if you try to count, you will see that almost 75% of the words are actually monosyllabic words. So monosyllabic words are quite simple. So the language of this poem is quite simple, a very easy vocabulary, not any difficult words, and some standard themes of love and time, with some imagery. So yeah, that's it really. Okay, if you have any questions, or if there's something that I might not have covered in this poem, you are more than welcome to write your questions in the comments. Okay, thank you very much. Bye bye.